Welcome back to British Stand. We've got some really shocking news for you this morning. Just as we've seen weeks of erupting of protests outside migrant hotels, I've reported on so many stories just like this. It's absolutely disgusting, it's absolutely shocking, and it's half the reason. In fact, it's probably 80% of the reason as to why we're seeing mass protests, because people are no longer safe in this country, especially young girls, because we keep importing individuals into this country and housing them up in hotels that are committing heinous acts. It's absolutely disgusting, it's absolutely shocking, and yet we've got another one of these stories, and guess what? The police tried to cover it up again. They didn't want the public to know on who they were and their background. Absolutely scandalous. As always, guys, we are going to be going through these two Afghan asylum seekers that have been charged with rape in Nuneaton. As always, please do hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and get your thoughts and opinions in the live chat. And let's go through what has occurred in Nuneaton. So essentially, two Afghan asylum seekers have been formally charged in connection with alleged rape of a 12-year-old girl in Nuneaton, Warwickshire, an incident that locals say has left the community devastated and now furious. The accused are 23-year-old Ahmed Mulakil, and charged with multiple counts of rape, and Mohammed Kabir, also 23, who faces charges of aiding and abetting rape, strangulation, and kidnap. Guys, this is a 12-year-old girl. This is a 12-year-old girl. But what has sparked even greater outrage now is the growing belief with regard to the police and the key information that has deliberately been withheld from the public. Multiple sources told the Mail on Sunday that Warwickshire police actively advised local councillors and officials not to disclose that the suspects were asylum seekers, citing fears of quote-unquote inflaming community tensions. This has led to accusations of a cover-up. One local described it as blatant effort to suppress information to the public, as every right to know. The sentiment is echoed by many in Nuneaton who now feel betrayed not just by the alleged attackers, but by the institutions meant to protect them. Let's take a closer look at what we know so far with regard to this horrifying incident. So essentially, the incident took place on Tuesday, July 22nd in Cheverell Street, an area of Nuneaton, and police say the attack occurred sometime between 8:30 p.m. and 9:45 p.m. CCTV footage obtained by the Mail on Sunday appears to show a man walking alongside a young victim, a white girl, at around 8 p.m. Just 30 minutes later, police believe she was subjected to a horrific assault. Now, McCarley, who is understood to have crossed the channel in a small boat, was arrested 4 days later and has since appeared before Coventry's Magistrates Court. He faces 2 charges of vaginal and oral rape and has been remanded into custody ahead of his court date at Warwick Crown Court on August 26th. His co-accused, Mohammed Kabir, was arrested shortly afterward and has also been remanded. In addition to aiding and abetting rape, he faces serious charges of strangulation and kidnapping. Now here's where this case gets even more controversial. Both men were just living yards apart in a taxpayer-funded, Serco-managed asylum housing. These multi-occupancy rooms, common across the UK, under a £1.9 billion government contract, are housing groups of asylum seekers in residential neighbourhoods, often without any consultation with or warning to locals. When questioned, Serco stated they did not confirm the names or addresses of the individuals in the properties, citing privacy policies. One of the property owners, though, did tell the Mail on Sunday that she was sickened to her stomach when she heard the news, but she, like many landlords, has no direct say who Serco places in the houses, or even knowledge of who's living there. A neighbour who is a 27-year-old Gorwan Muhammad Ali, who lives in the same house as Kabir, confirmed police has visited the property recently. He also revealed that all the residents have their bills paid for by Serco and receive £49 per week in spending money, funded again by the British taxpayer. So the question now that many people are asking is, how much did local councillors know? And why weren't the public told sooner? According to sources, some councillors were indeed briefed by police after the attack, but were advised not to disclose the immigration status of the suspects. Have we learned anything as a nation? Have we learned anything as a nation, these councillors? What the F is going on? Many in Nuneaton now believe that silence is not safety, it's deception. Of course, last night, Nigel Farage didn't mince his words when making a comment with regard to this. He said, police are elected officials and are acting against the British people. Simple. They are, absolutely. Why does this keep happening? Have we not learned anything from these gangs at the start of the year? And they're still withholding information. It's absolutely shocking. And across the UK, as we've seen yesterday, erupting in many cities, this is what it's all about. People are outraged by this, and the government are not releasing statements. In fact, they're continuing to import people into these hotels. We've seen it with the one at the Britannia Hotel recently. Footage emerging the other night of them being transported in. It's sickening. This is a 12-year-old girl. I don't even want to read the details, but I need to push it out there to you guys so you know what's going on. It's sick. As the investigation continues, Warwick police are urging anyone who was in Cheverell Street area on July 22nd, 8:30, 9:45 p.m. to come forward with any relevant information. Meanwhile, the young victim is reportedly receiving specialist care. Our thoughts, obviously, here on British Stand are with her and her family because her life is ruined forever. 12-year-old girl. 2 Afghan asylum seekers. I told them about why are they importing them? 23,000 we got of these guys. The statistics match up when we look at it per capita. They are largely responsible. And yes, before any lefty comes at me, yes, no, not everyone is. I'm not saying every single one is, but there's a lot, and it's becoming a common theme, and it's sick and absolutely disgusting. And when is enough enough? Because when you do protest, this is what the people think. This is what they're thinking. Look at that. That's enough to anger you, isn't it? Protests erupting this weekend. Look at them. Hey? Where are the women? Where are the children? Why is it always blokes that we're seeing in these hotels? Why is it always blokes that we see in this hotel? Look at these. Is that a brand new iPhone? Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. And you can see why the British public is so frustrated with this. Because it's happening all too often. It's happening all the time. I mean, just look at it. And what about the ones that the police are successfully covering up and not being able to go to the media? Credit to the... Hey, I don't give a lot of credit to the mainstream media, but credit to the Mail on Sunday for still doxing this and still putting it out there. And local councillors as well. Don't tell them where they're from. Who on earth do these people think they are, withholding information from the public? Why not, instead of keeping importing them, shut the borders? There was mass amounts came over in boats yesterday, over the weekend. We're just here to stick and put up with this. They're not listening to the people, the vast majority of people. Instead, they want to go silence people on social media about talking about these incidents. What about that young girl? What about the countless other victims of these horrific crimes over the last couple of months, years, since this has been happening? Stop protecting these individuals. They are absolute savages. And now they're going to be resting in our prisons and staying in our prisons for the rest of time. I'm angry, man. Angry. Let's go into the live chat, troops. I mean, this is shocking. This is absolutely shocking. I want to take some reaction, but I'm angry. My blood is boiling, man. Sally says, women and kids follow after once they are there. Tommy says, how can the police ask for help when they give us no information as to what's going on? Is there any wonder why majority of people have lost faith in the UK police system? Have they not learned any lessons from the start of the year? Have they not learned a single lesson from the start of the year whatsoever? It's in through one ear and out the other. That Labour government needs to be held accountable. They're so focused on this quote-unquote far right, which is just normal outraged families, and silencing their opinions on social media than actually dealing with the problem. If they put half the effort that they're doing with this online safety bill and all of the other things to just tackle it, they would save a fortune in taxpayers' money, and they'd also not have a problem. It's getting worse and worse. And how many came over the other day? 600-700? Some of these individuals just aren't compatible for Western civilization. And I'm sorry. And yes, before a lefty starts triggering me, it's not everyone. Yes, I know. But if it's 3 out of 100, then you've got a massive problem, haven't you? 4 out of 100. It's in the statistics. It's true. Drones, it's true. Do you know the actual psychological effect? Her life is almost ruined. Her life is ruined by these 2 savages. That could have been easily avoidable. We don't know who they are. Why are illegal migrants cutting about and raining the streets of our country? Why are they just walking around? I've said it about 1,000 times on these shows. It's in the name illegal immigrant. They've committed a crime coming into this country and they're allowed to just cut about the streets. Why are they suddenly allowed to be cutting around the streets, walking around and doing stuff? They should be in a military facility that's been converted and they should be staying in that facility. They are criminals, hence why illegal. You know, they've committed a crime coming into the country illegally. They should be treated as such. Fucking mental, man. It's not that hard, honestly. It's not that hard to appease the British public. It really isn't. Take control of the borders. For God's sake. If you're just going to let this keep on happening, instead of going after anti-migrant sentiment. It's not even anti-migrant sentiment. It's anti-illegal immigrant sentiment. That's what they need to stick on their freaking Online Safety Act thing. It's anti-illegal immigrant sentiment that people are frustrated with at this moment in time. Gary says Lucy Connolly got 31 months in jail for posting stuff on Twitter. This is where we are. Well, if that sets the bar, you know, I've seen grape charges before, and they're not the same. Or certainly not as long as that. But why on earth do we have to... The guy's been in the country for a couple of weeks. Why on earth do we have to put up with him for the rest of time? Oh, because he's gay. Who's this? Who's this? They're playing the game. Fucking hell, man. Karen says, just look after our kids. It's not a lot to ask. It's a 12-year-old girl. It's a 12-year-old girl. Disgusting. How can we have a government that's so protecting of these individuals than young girls in the city, in the town, in Nuneaton? And she's just one case study. There's many, many others across the country. How? How can you look at some of those individuals in the eyes, these Labour MPs, and see what they are facilitating? They're facilitating this because they have the power to stop it. They're responsible for letting these people in. They are putting them into hotels on a day-to-day basis. They're shipping them in the colour of darkness and ignoring the mass amounts of protests and gaslighting those individuals as far right and trying to silence their speech. I'm going to go through this story a bit more tomorrow with Dom on the podcast. Makes me angry. There's going to be a lot to dive into with regard to this tomorrow as well. But yeah, it's sickening. And honestly, I'm not super in the mood to go. I'm quite thinking with the live chat. I've just got myself riled up for no reason. Well, for a reason. It's a very good reason. But yeah, I'm not too much in the mood. I need to calm down a little bit. I'm not in the mood to go through the live stream. I'll probably end up saying something I probably shouldn't. So yeah, I'm going to take a breather, cool down a little bit, and we'll be back later for some more content, guys. But thank you so much for tuning in. Let you know your thoughts in the comments.